all my crafty people out there. We have an interesting project today. It is based off some things that, of course, I've seen around, and the fact that I'm a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. So, we are going to be taking a good old white long sleeve t-shirt that I got at my local fabric store. They had them on the sales aisle for $10. So yes, I bought this one retail on sale. And again, it's just a long sleeve shirt. So nothing fancy. I've got it folded this way because I'm going to find the middle of it. So I'm going to leave it folded for right now. And we're going to marry it or combine it with this small buffalo style plaid in black and white. We're going to do it similarly to what we did with the last sweatshirt, where we're going to utilize the bottom of this shirt at the bottom of the white t-shirt. However, we're going to take it one step further this time, and we're going to switch out the sleeves. So we're going to put these sleeves on this shirt, and we're going to cut the bottom off of this shirt and put the bottom on it as well. Now, again, I'm a Jack Skellington fan, so I found this, and I will link the Etsy page, which I got it from. Well, I don't know. Let me see. There we go. Put it on this brown, so you can see his face. And we're going to put this on the white shirt. So we'll have his face in black on the white shirt. Again, cutting off the bottom, replacing it with the bottom here. And we're going to go one step further and cut the sleeves off. I thought about the collar, and it's going to be a little plain on the shirt. But I have this really cute Halloween scarf that I also thrifted. And I think that that's what I'm going to use for kind of like the decoration around my neck. That sounds weird. You know what I mean. We're not going to need a collar per se. So again, I will link the vendor that I got this from on Etsy. And this I bought. And this shirt I did thrift at American Thrift a while back. And I believe it was for, I can't get it to focus, but it was $4.99. There it is, $4.99. So $4.99 in the shirt, so $5 in the shirt, $10 in this shirt, so I'm $15 in the whole. We won't talk about how much this was. It wasn't really all that expensive, honestly. They had them in different sizes. I think this is like the middle size. But this I've already used once, which you can probably see the orange on it. I've already used it once for a shirt for my grandchild, and I can use it again, obviously. So this is a reusable piece. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to find the center of this shirt so we can center our Jack Skellington face. And if you look, fortunately, there's light coming in from my window over here on this side, so it's showing this nice little ridge where the fold is, and that's where our center is, which is great. That's perfect. I don't need anything extraordinary to show me the center. I can see it very well there. Now, if you didn't have this nice light coming through your window, you could use a washable marker and just mark the line down the center. I don't really care too much about the cross part here because I'm just going to eyeball it, but I did want to kind of get it centered, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Jack's face. You can probably see the name of the company there. I'm not sure if that's the name or not. And I'm going to kind of center him here. And actually, you know what? Let's just find the center of Jack's face real quick. If you had a stencil that was you know, challenging that pack. That was a ruler, no big deal. This one is a 10 by 10. So let's see if I can mark it a little bit with that. Or actually, you know what I can do is I can center it that way. So actually it's already centered. There's my 5-inch mark. There's the edge of the 5. That's perfect. Okay, so he's already centered this way. So I'm just going to move him up a little bit. I don't want him too high up. Well, no, actually, let's move him down a little bit. Let's move him right here. Check that again, just to make sure that he's pretty centered. And he needs to be over just a bit. There he is. Okay. Now, all right, so we've got him centered. And I think I don't want him to be right up in the boob line. So I kind of want him down a little bit. So maybe here. And that'll still give me plenty of fabric to cut off down here and make my, I want to make it a little longer than my average t-shirt, just so, so I can wear tights with it, because I think that's apparently what I'm going to be doing this year. So I'm going to take this board, and it's just a piece of cardboard, nothing special. And I'm going to insert it from the other side. So this is a weird angle for me, but I want y'all to be able to see him face up. So I'm going to try to insert it over here. And that's not going to work, obviously, because I'm just not talented enough. So I'm going to push it under here, and then we'll worry about centering it back on there. All right. Sorry about that. It's a weird angle. But the board is actually 10 inches wide as well. So just going to be able to see that center line. And push this over just a little bit. And let's check the board. The board is 10 inches. It's a little over 10 inches, but it looks like it's centered well. So I'm going to put him back on here. Check him to my center mark. And there he is. He's good. Looks pretty good on screen too. Wasn't my best choice, white on white, as far as the stencil, but you know what we're doing. All right, let me get some, I'm gonna get some painter's tape and just kind of seal that down a little bit, and then we'll start stenciling. Sorry about that. I had to go get the painter's tape. Now, obviously, you could do this a couple of different ways, or several different ways, probably. But I'm just going to secure it with some painter's tape. That way, it's not going to mess with my shirt. It's painter's tape. And it'll just keep it from jostling when I'm dabbing the paint on with one of those little spongy brushes. So we're just going to push that down. I'm going to go ahead and seal the other sides too. Now, do I think this is the proper way of stenciling? Couldn't tell you. This is really the first time I've been stenciling. Like I said, I tried some on my grandchild's shirt the other night. And when I say grandchild, it could be for any of them. And I just kind of was winging it. So I have this black paint, and I probably got this at my local craft store, but you could use any black or any paint. You could. The other one I did in orange. I'm going to shake it up a little, and I probably have a top to remove. Oh no, I don't. Okay, good. So I've obviously opened this one already, and I'm just going to put it on my little plate here, little paper plate, nothing special, and I'm using one of these. Again, I'll link something to buy these as well. But I'm just going to kind of dab into it. Kind of fill my little sponge. And last time I did his eyeballs first, I just felt more comfortable getting the big part done. Figured that was going to take the longest to dry. But this stuff really, it dried rather fast. I mean, I'm not applying it in some kind of super thick coat. So I am just dabbing it in. I don't want to shift my fabric and come off my stencil. So there's no brush strokes per se, it's just dabbing. And I can come back and add to each spot if I find that there's some sparsity. So we're slowly making Jack's face. Keep your thing loaded. Don't want to pick up your fabric too much while you're doing this either. Alright, there's his eyeballs. I think I got everything covered. Now let's get his nose. And let's start on his mouth. And it doesn't take a whole lot to do this particular stencil. Just want to kind of keep your brush loaded. Try to be careful not to pick up my stencil. I think I got it. Also kind of dabbing to make sure I don't have any clumpy parts left over. Again, not generally a stenciler, so let's see what Jack looks like. Everybody cross your fingers. I don't think you have to wait. Let's see. I didn't wait for the other one because waiting's not really my strong point. Patience, you know. So that tape's just perfect. It just comes right off. And this has got a little bit of black on it, so just make sure you don't touch your fabric with anything that's got paint on it. Woo! All right. Let's see if Jack's got a face. What? That looks good. I'm excited. All right, Jack's got a face. Now we've got to get to cutting up. So I'll come back when this dries a little and we'll start cutting the bottom off and the sleeves off and realigning everything and see if we can get it all to fit. Okay, I think everything is dry. And I probably let it dry for about, it's probably close to an hour. It probably didn't need that long. I just wanted to make sure. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut the sleeves off of the t-shirt. And where I'm going to do that, I'm going to start underneath the arm. And I'm going to snip this on this side of the seam. In other words, this seam right here, I'm going to keep it because when I serge the or sew the other sleeve on, I want that protection from it raveling, I guess I should say. Now, I don't know if that's necessary. It just makes me feel better, so that's what I do. So we're going to take our scissors. I'm going to pick up that seam underneath the arm there, and I'm just going to snip a little hole in it. I really need to get my scissors sharpened. You know what I've been putting them through. So let's just start clipping away. And I'm leaving a little bit of edging there. Again, it's not going to hurt anything. I just want to make sure that that seam keeps things from raveling, I guess. So, and just going to keep on snipping. And of course, when I sew the new arm in, I'm going to be cleaning up this edge anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfection. So that's our first sleeve off. And I'm going to take the second one off. At first I had thought about replacing the whole sides with the sides of the other shirt. But the more I thought about that, the more it just kind of looked like I was wearing a t-shirt underneath a long sleeve flannel shirt. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to look a little different. Now I have seen some people do a shirt with Jack's face on it and a white t-shirt or a white long sleeve shirt, and they've done some kind of lacing, like taken parts of the t-shirt and laced it in between the two pieces to kind of make it look like it was stitched together. I think that would look super cute. Am I going to do that? Probably not. I just can't see me taking the time to cut all those holes to do the lacing. Alright, and the only other thing that I think I want to do is I told y'all I'm gonna cut off the bottom. And I don't want to cut it too close to his face. Now, there's a lot of space up here, and I probably could have moved Jack's face a little higher up. But I'm kind of healthy up top, so I didn't want his eyeballs to, you know. Anyway, point is, he could have been higher. Not a big deal. I'm going to try and line these bottoms up a little bit. And make sure that I've got them lined up pretty good, because I'm going to cut them off and I don't want them cut too far uneven. I'm just doing a straight cut. If you want to get creative and do a curve, that's great. But the bottom of my shirt that I'm replacing the bottom of this shirt with is already curved, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm just kind of doing it old school and attaching it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my grid line here, as I always do. And I'm going to try and straighten it. It's not going to be perfect because it is a t-shirt, so it stretches, and we're just going to try and get it as close as possible. So I'm putting it about on the 26 inch mark line on my healing board here, self-healing board. And I think I'm going to cut off, let's just say we'll go to the 19 inch mark. That'll give me enough room. Well, let's go to 18. So, yeah, I think that would do what I want it to do. Yeah, that still gives it plenty of room to attach to Jack. I mean, to Jack, to the white part of the t-shirt. So we're going to do a simple cut. I've got my handy dandy ruler and rotary cutter. And that's what we're cutting off. Honestly, this looks like some kind of redneck shirt. Wait to see somebody cutting grass in at this point. No, I did not say that out loud. Anyway, so this is our cut up piece of the top of our shirt. And I'm just going to fold it over here, or kind of hang it out over there. There's probably some things I can use the sleeves and the bottom for. I haven't decided what yet. Now, if you wanted to do the lacing, you know, between the two pieces to make it look like it's attached by lacing, you could cut this at an angle and make what they call that t-shirt yarn. There's plenty of tutorials on that, and use it, because when you stretch t-shirt, of course, it kind of curls up anyway. So you could use this to do that lacing. Or if you had a black t-shirt, you know. All right, for the next part of this, let's first cut off our sleeves. Now, in this particular scenario, these are cotton, and I just want to take a little quick peek at our size. And if you look at the size of our shirt sleeve here, it's much easier to do when it's been removed. And you look at this here. This sleeve is a little bit bigger than the one we're replacing, which is good. We'd rather have it the replacement piece be a little big than a little too small, because you can always pleat and dart or whatever, or gather the shirt going in or the sleeve going in. You can't really make up the fabric that's not there. So I think this is going to be great. If there's any excess when we're sewing it on, which there will be a little, we'll just put a pleat in the top and kind of make it a little decorative. So now the shirt, when I take the sleeve off of this shirt, I'm going to go again on the outside of the seam. Logically, I guess I should take this seam off, but honestly, I don't want to ruin the top half of this shirt yet. You know me, 2 shirts, 2 projects probably. So I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut directly under the arm, that seam under the arm, and I'm going to cut and leave this heavier seam of the shoulder seam on the shirt. I'm not going to take it with the sleeve. You could do it the other way, but I'm hoping that I may be able to use the top half of this shirt for something. So I'm just making a little nick in here. Now this one, I want to try and get as close to that seam as I can, because I want to salvage as much of this sleeve as I possibly can. And it's real soft fabric, so it's not going to be too hard to cut, obviously. The only thing difficult about it is the plaid is a little, it's not busy. It's not too busy. It's just works on your eyeballs. My daughter just sent me pictures of my grandson in the white t-shirt that I put the orange Jack face on. Apparently he's in love with it. Hopefully she'll be able to get it off of him. Yeah, kids, they'll get stuck on an outfit. You got to wrestle them out of it. But he seems to really like it, so I guess I'm going to have to make the girls one too. So there's our shirt sleeve, our first one. And again, if we measure it to our shirt sleeve here, we'll see it's got a little bit extra, but like I said, we'll just put a pleat at the top of the shirt sleeve and make it a little poofy. All right, I'm going to cut this other one off, and then I won't make you watch that, and then we'll get back together when I'm cutting the bottom off and trying to line it up with the bottom of the white shirt. All right, I've got the shirt laid out, and good thing is it is plaid, so it's something that you can kind of utilize. And this is a decently made plaid shirt. As a matter of fact, I never showed y'all what this brand was. Oh, it's good old St. John's Bay. So this is I think, what is it, Pennies that sells that? Anyway, it's a decently made shirt. So the plaid lines up fairly well. And I can tell that, you know, there's this first black stripe after the pocket is where I want to cut from on both sides. I also went ahead, just to make sure, I took another ruler and I measured from there to there, and both sides are about 12 inches from this point to the top where I'm going to be cutting. So it should be fairly even. And I'm going to use my rotary cutter. It's going to be a little squiffy because it's a long cut and I barely have enough board. So we're just going to, we might have to kind of push through that end point. And I'm just trying to line up that stripe with my ruler. Kind of eyeball it a little bit. I could use the scissors to cut it across because it is pretty lined up, but we're going to see if I can do it left-handed. Not my strong point, but I can play pool left-handed, so we'll give it a try. And this is our first mess up. Now, I think I'm going to have to do it right-handed and just go under my arm. Alright, I'm not sure if I got through that button placket. And I didn't. And that little seam on the side down there. But that's okay. Just take the scissors to this. It's a little thick there. And I'm far enough below, or above, I guess I should say, above this last button that I shouldn't have any problem making that a seam. Let's see how the back turned out. Not perfect, but I think it'll be okay because this probably will be a little gathered. Let's check and see what we're looking at for the fit to this, to the top part of the shirt. So this is our bottom, and this is our top. That's great. That's about where we were last time with that little 2 inches or almost 4 inches total on the sides. And we'll just gather that up a little. And I'm liking it. This, this plaid, I don't know if you can see it, but it actually has this like silver line in it, this metallic silver line in it. So it's kind of a cool plaid. And I think this is going to look great on the bottom. And then, of course, we're going to plop on the sleeves up top. I'll show you what it's kind of look like. We're going to plop on the sleeves. If I can find both of them. So this is going to be neat. And even though there is a little space up here and the collar is pretty bland, I think that scarf is going to kind of top it off and make it super cute. And I'll show that to y'all, of course, when I get to the end and I'm putting it all together. So let me get back with you when I'm starting to pin this sleeve in to see how much pleat we're going to need. I think I'm going to do them first because this will obviously be, well, I better not say obviously. This should be the easier seam to make, the bottom one, because it's pretty straight. Putting the sleeves in, a little more complex. So I'll get right back to you when I start pinning these. All right, I've got the first sleeve pinned in, and it took me a second to think about this, but I had to think about which sleeve belonged on which side. And of course, the cuff is going to tell me that, but I wasn't sure what it was telling me. So I had to go look at another shirt. When you're putting on a shirt and you're putting it down your arm, that cuff goes to the outside of your wrist. So I had to make sure that that flat part was in the back of my shirt. Now this is the front. This is the front of my shirt. It's just turned inside out. And you can see Jack's face right there. So the shirt is inside out. The sleeve is right side out because we want right sides together. And I have to put this one this way, in this way, like this, because that cuff, the buttons, will be facing towards the back side, which, you know, that's back here. It's complicated to explain. When I did pin it in here, fortunately, I only had to put 3 small pleats in it, and it made the top look a little puffy, which is kind of cute. I'm not usually a puffy sleeve girl, but you know, hey, we all, well, my age, we all wore those nice big huge shoulder pads at one point, so a little puff ain't gonna hurt nobody. So this is already folded in half, so it's easy to figure out where the seam is. On a t-shirt like this, there's not a side seam, which I thought was interesting too. I don't think about that. It's a one continuous piece of fabric. But if you fold your sleeve in half like this, you can find your points. This is your top seam, obviously, over your shoulder. So I'm going to take this and open it up on that seam, and I'm going to put it right in that little crease that's created when I fold them in half. So I know where it's going, because it's the same as we do on just about every kind of piece like this. Good old divide and conquer. So I'm going to take that seam, and again, I'm going to pin it up here on the shoulder seam, because it would have been the shoulder seam on the shirt. So now I have my 2 points of reference. And what I found when I pinned it in last time, which, you know, I try to experiment. I'm really glad things have 2 arms. To make sure that it was fitting, I pinned from the bottom, from the underarm seam, because then I would know what I had left at the top for that pleating. And I'm also pinning this, like I said, right sides together, so that heavier seam from the white shirt is still there, but it's keeping everything from raveling, and it's also giving me some stability. In other words, you know, if it wasn't there, it would stretch a lot easier, and I don't want it to do that. I only need 1 pin at a time. And I'm also going to do this side real quick. And what I found was I needed 3 pleats, and I ended up doing 1 small one in the back and then 2 small ones in the front, and that just kind of used up my sleeve, which again, always better to have a bigger sleeve. You're putting in a smaller hole, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of, you know, figure out how I wanted it to look. So we're just pinning down, and I'm still debating on whether or not I'm just going to throw this on the serger and serge in the round, or if I'm going to sew it first. I think I probably will just serge it. I'm not an extra step kind of girl. Now, when I pleated it, I have to think about this every time I put a pleat in. I want to put the fold towards the seam, and the reason I'm putting the fold towards that shoulder seam is because I want that pleat to be on top. And for some reason, my head doesn't work that way, and I always have to think about it twice. So if I look at the other one real quick, there, nope, here, I can see about how big I made those 2 pleats in the front. And again, they're all folding towards the seam line, the shoulder seam. And that gives me that little cute pucker at the top without having to run a gathering stitch and all that lovely stuff. Not my cup of tea. I'll actually avoid patterns that have gathering. I don't know why. Just not my thing. Oh, I need to make that a little bit bigger. Alright, so I could take a hemming ruler and measure how big these pleats are, but I don't know. Just not my thing. Not today. But I will look at them side by side to make sure. If I look at them side by side, here is my 2 pleats here. There's mine. Okay, now this one's a little farther up on the other one. So we'll put it a little farther up. And these two, let's see, that one's pretty good, but this one needs to be a little farther up. I put them a little closer. So now it's hard to see, but I'm centering that center seam and I'm kind of gauging where I'm putting those pleats to make sure they're not too far away from each other on each side. So now we've got our sleeves pinned in, and I'm going to go over to, I'm going to be brave, go over to the serger and serge these sleeves in, and then when we come back we'll put the bottom on and we'll just about be done. The only thing I may do otherwise, and I haven't really decided on yet, it's not imperative to me, but I may sew this placket closed just because. Honestly, it's so far down on the shirt, it doesn't really need to be. It's not going to be a problem either way, because this is going to be a slip over your head kind of thing. So let's go over to the serger, serge these sleeves in, and see where we go. All right, we're at the serger. Got my black thread loaded. Wouldn't matter, black or white in this particular scenario. Let me get a pin cushion. Maybe I need 3 of these. Got 2. Maybe I need 3. All right, I'm going to start at the bottom because sewing in the round on a serger is kind of messy. It shouldn't be, but you know. So I'm going to take that first pin out. I'm going to get this underneath here. Actually, usually you can just pick up my foot, but let's do a proper pickup of it so we can get all the thickness of this under there. There we go. Make sure they're still lined up. There we go. Don't want any crooked sleeves. Put the foot back down. I don't usually pick it up like that. I usually shove this stuff under there pretty good, but alright. Sewing in the round, or at least I think that's what it's called. Try to make sure everything's straight. Take those pins out. Feeling underneath to make sure I'm not getting any extra fabric. I just want to make sure we get this nice and even. Keep turning it. I'm coming to my first pleat. I'll make sure that I catch that nice. Hope y'all can hear me. Hope y'all are having an easier time hearing me now and recording through my phone. Pick that up. Make sure that pleat goes under there right. I got quite a few pins up at the top for all these pleats. I wanted to make sure it didn't move on me. Hopefully we're on the home stretch now. Last pin. Make sure everything's good under there. Make sure I caught these pleats. I think I did. Alright, let's look at that first arm. Oh yeah, looks good. Looks good. Got those little pleats in it to make a little puffy. Good, good. All right, I'm going to sew in the second arm. I only torch here with one at a time. And then we'll go back to the table and figure out exactly where we'll figure out to make sure it's going to pin properly as far as the length on the shirts. Okay, so now we have sleeves on our shirt, and they're actually kind of cute. The darts or pleats made them a little puffy. So those turned out good. And now we just got to put the bottom on the bottom, for lack of a better word. I didn't worry about sewing up the placket. Like I said, it's going to be on the bottom. And you can see this shirt already wants to curl. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to leave this one right side out, and I'm going to turn this one wrong side out. And then we will put, remember, button placket in the front with Jack. And we're just going to put the shirt inside this one. All right, this one. So take it like that. And that way we know we got Jack and the button placket in the right place. Now we have side seams on this shirt, but we don't have side seams on the t-shirt. So we're just going to kind of put our fingers in here and make sure that we're centered. We've got the sides picked up properly. That way we can kind of gauge. We don't quite have the seam anymore. The seam, the pleat, well, the fold, the crease. There we go. I knew there was a word in there. But let's just give this a try. I think, let's see if that's, well, all right, just for giggles, let's fold this shirt just one more time so we can make sure we got the right crease. All right, so let's fold Jack in half. I'm going to do a little finger pressing. I think that's, is that where I needed to finger press it? I think so. So, there we go. Now we see him again. All right. So, again, we're putting the shirt over the white shirt because we want right sides together. And I know, let's see that little finger pressing. I want to center it on this button placket. And then I want to center this corner, or I'm sorry, the side on this side seam. And I'm going to pull this. This one is going to this side seam. Like that. And then I don't have the back center. Actually, I think I might. Let's see if I can figure out what it is. let's see, that's 23 inches. And half of 23 is 12 and a half. I mean, 11 and no. Yeah. Yeah. 11. Yep. So that's it. All right. Just making sure, or at least getting as close as possible. Now, yes, I did just count on the board. It's like counting on your fingers. We don't talk about it. I do it a lot. My math skills aren't oddly enough that bad, but I don't know. It's like I second guess myself. All right, here's where our problem comes in. I don't want any pleats in the front. That's not a good look for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the front, because I know the front placket is centered in the shirt. That's where we finger press that crease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the entire front, and then when I have this overage, I'm going to pin it to the side. And I'm going to pin it, actually, I'm going to pin it the other way, because I don't want this to go towards the front. So I'm pinning the little overage right there in the side seam. Now we may still have some in the back, obviously, but we can push that towards the side seams, or we can just put some little darts in the back. Whatever suits our fancy. I don't mind darts in the back. Don't put none in the front. So I'm just going to pin here and see what we end up with for excess fabric. Pin here. Don't think we're going to end up with a lot. See, there's this little tiny bit. So I'm going to put a teeny pleat in the back right here. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to just pin this here. Pin this here. And then this little bitty piece that I have on the other side, I'm just going to put, whoops, I'm going to put it the other way. Just going to pleat towards the back. And I'm going to even these pleats up just a little bit. I'm going to pull this one a little bit more this way. There we go. So I have this tiny little pleat in the back that's not going to hurt anything. I'm going to put it a little bit. There we go. And I'm pushing it, I'm pushing the fold towards that seam, or towards the middle of the back. That'll put a little top pleat on it. And that's the crux of it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. And we can also kind of look at it here, and you can see the placket is lining up with the center of the collar, so I think we're spot on for that. So let's go over to the serger and serge it around. And we should just about be done. Actually, we may be done. We'll check. I might have to put a top stitch when I serge this. I'm not sure how it'll lay down, but we'll check. Okay guys, we're on the home stretch. We're going to, once again, sew in the round, but we're sewing on the bottom this time. I am going to start, I think, on this side seam. That will always be covered up under your arm, so not anything to get in the way. check and make sure that all of our fabric is aligned. Take that first pin out because I'll send that right under the shoulder. And I'm not taking much of anything off, maybe a little about, I don't know, a little more than 1/8 of an inch. As long as you're consistent with what you're sewing and seaming, then it'll always come out right. Make it over that button placket. Sorry if y'all hear all the crazy noises in the background. We have a new kitten in the house. And he's obnoxious. But most kittens are. I hate when they don't want to catch that pleat. There we go. Caught it. All good. All right, here we go. I think it's going to lay down perfectly. So there's all of Jack's face. I'm going to go try it on and we'll have the great reveal. Okay, I'm not totally dissatisfied. I think it turned out really cute. And the sleeves are kind of puffy, which is okay with me. But the only thing I would change, and I don't know if you can see it, the shoulders fall off my shoulders a little bit. I wish that the sleeve was a little higher right there. So I'm going to give this a try at fixing this. I'm not sure what it's going to turn out like. And then we're going to come back and see what I did. But otherwise, I'm pretty cool with the way the shirt turned out itself. I like the length of it. It goes really well with tights. And my little scarf, my little Halloween scarf. But I'm not keen on the shoulders. Almost looks like I'm wearing the shoulder pads we were talking about earlier. So let me see if I can shrink this up a bit and fix it. Okay, what I've done, and I've already done the first sleeve just to test this out. I'm not sure. I've never had to alter anything like this before. And it's, we'll go with not my strong point or just lack of knowledge. I'm just claiming ignorance on this. So I have pinned this to a taper. In other words, what I did is at the top, that's my shoulder seam, I pinned in the amount that I want to remove, which makes this shoulder seam about 3.5 inches. Okay, so I've pinned this as the part that I want to remove, the amount I want to take up, and then you can barely see it, but I've tapered it down the sleeve. Okay, this one needs to be a little more tapered, obviously. So I've tapered it down the sleeve. And I don't need this pin. and I am trying to sew it right alongside the serge line. Sorry, I am paying attention to my pinning right now. I had pinned it already, but I didn't pin it with this seam facing the sleeve, and I want it to be like that because that seems to be a better option. So I'm just kind of pushing it over and tapering it at the same time. Alright, so I did the other sleeve, and you can see what I did. I sewed right next to the, well, you can't really see his white thread, but I sewed right beside the serge line, and I tapered it as I went. This one's not perfectly tapered here. Other part was I'm using a basting stitch, so I can take that bad boy out. But I'm going to try to start at this tapered end and work my way up and over the seam that I'm putting in the shoulder to try and take it up. I'm not really sure, like I said, if this is the right way to do this. Probably not. In fact, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's an actual seamstress or knows what they're doing when it comes to this kind of stuff, and they're gonna look at me like, oh my goodness, what is she thinking? But I'm just giving this a try to see if it'll work, and you and I can experiment on it together. And Samson, you need to leave that door alone. Sorry, my cat wants in here, so he's decided he's just going to sit there and beat on the door. Like the goober he is. Alright. Got my machine working properly. Alright, let's turn it inside out and get an idea of what I have either done or messed up. So pull my sleeves out. Alright, now I think this is gonna work. Sorry, didn't mean to hit y'all. So you can see that I've definitely taken in the seam. They are the same, which is miraculous. There it is. They're the same. So that's pretty miraculous. I'm going to go try it on, and if this worked, then I think we might be done with the project. I may take the serger and take off that excess fabric so it's not a seam, or just go over with the sewing machine again and then clip it. But I'd probably like to go over it with a serger because this is jersey. So let me go try it on, and we will try the reveal again. Okay, everybody. I did a little bit of work on the seams, the shoulder seams, and I like the way they're falling better now. They're more on my shoulder than they were falling off my shoulder. Now I could take them in a little more if I wanted to. But overall, I think it's a cute project. Wearing it with my little tights. So it's just a comfy Halloween handout trick-or-treat kind of thing. Probably wear it to school. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting. I really appreciate it. And if you're enjoying them, by all means let me know. And I will see y'all on the flip side of our next project.